Hey guys, welcome back. Today is day 19 in the book, What If God Wrote Your Bucket List by Jay Payleitner. The title of today's lesson is Get Out of Hot Water.
So if you guys haven't been with us for one of our What If Wednesdays, we read one of the chapters out of these books. They're usually just 1 or 2 pages. And the idea of this book is 52 things that the author thinks God would want on our bucket list as Christians. So how we usually go about this is we usually read the chapter and then sometimes we talk a little bit about it, sometimes we don't. It depends on if he kind of covers the bases or not. In the beginning of this chapter, he's got like a story time about his work life. So I'm just going to condense that and then basically tell you kind of what he said, and then we'll read one of the other pages that has the thing to learn on it, or the thing that God would want on our bucket list on it. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to explain to you like how he prefaces what he's going to say. And basically he's just talking about how he used to be a traveling salesman and how it wasn't always the best job. He got tired and wore out by traveling and staying in different places, bad hotels, and eating dinners by himself and stuff like that, and how it was kind of not the best job ever, but God taught him some lessons through that, and he knew why God had made him go through those jobs. So then he starts to tell us like what he learned, and Mariah's gonna read that.
One desperately cold night, as I entered my motel room, I stomped the slush off my wingtips and was initially glad to feel the rush of warmth from the motel furnace. But it wasn't long before the overheated and dry air left me gasping for breath. The motel heating system clearly didn't have a humidifier. That's when this clever boy had the brilliant idea to run a hot shower at full blast to fill the room and fill my lungs with a comforting fog of steam. It worked, and I fell asleep. I woke 6 or 7 hours later to 2 sounds, my alarm clock and running water, cold water. I felt a little bad wasting all that water. I felt worse when I couldn't take a hot shower to start my day, and I felt even worse when I checked out. I discovered several of my fellow travelers giving quite an earful to the desk clerk. He certainly couldn't explain why the entire establishment had run out of hot water. It had never happened before. I briefly considered offering an apology and an explanation. Instead, I paid my bill quietly and hit the road. If you were in that unnamed motel in that unnamed Midwestern state on that winter night decades ago, I truly apologize. I don't think it would have done any good for me to have confessed in front of that angry mob of weary, cold-showered travelers. Probably the hotel management would have liked to know what caused the hot water shortage, but by leaving quietly, I saved them from having to file a police report on the lynching that most certainly would have taken place on their property. As I type this, I feel better already. Confessing my cowardice and self-centered act to the world has lifted a burden from my heart. My actions were not malicious, but they did bring discomfort to more than few travelers and motel employees. At this point, I would like to apologize face to face to all involved, but that's an impossibility. Admittedly, the story has an element of dark humor, but it still was an unpleasant experience for many, and I was the blame. How about you? Might there be an inadvertent misstep from long ago that has left some lingering guilt? As a child, did you pick some roses for your mom, not realizing they were being fertilized and pruned by a neighbor for an upcoming flower show? Did you innocently write your name in wet cement only to watch city workers jackhammer that section of sidewalk and replace it days later? At your place of work, did you receive primary kudos for a successful project in which you were barely involved? Looking over your supermarket receipt at home, did you realize you never paid for that bag of dog food in the lower rack of the shopping cart?
In the moment, it's always best to confess, but if it's been weeks or decades, it's probably time to let it go. Maybe the best idea now is to somehow pay it forward. Or since we're talking about a past misdeed, Maybe a better term is to pay it backwards. In other words, consider your crime and imagine some corresponding atonement for your reparation. If you're guilty of picking the neighbor's roses as a child, take a bouquet of flowers to a senior shut-in this week. If you deface some cement work, shovel your neighbor's sidewalk and driveway this winter. If you took credit for someone else's hard work, write a note of appreciation to an old boss or mentor. If you accidentally stole a bag of dog food, spend a day volunteering at the local animal shelter. You get the idea. We all make mistakes. And God really doesn't want us dragging around a sack full of guilt and shame. Let's fix all the shortcomings we can. Let's confess and willingly face the consequences of our major mess-ups. But for the small stuff from long ago that nags our conscience, let's turn the negative into positives. Anticipate and be grateful for the leading of the Holy Spirit. When the Spirit convicts you of something you need to make right, don't be surprised if an opportunity comes along before you know it. Maybe that explains why I felt pretty good when I had the chance to donate to build clean water wells in Western Africa. It was God's way of reminding me that I can't maneuver through this world without him. And then he's got checking the list, which is something he has at the end of every chapter we do every week. It usually just kind of sums up like his point, the point he was trying to make, and what he's trying to get across. It says, don't beat yourself up over silly, innocent mistakes from the past. Instead, turn your shortcomings over to God. He can make all things new. He can turn a negative into a positive. He doesn't need your help, but he just might allow you to be an active part in the recovery process.
So his main point is to let go of past guilt.
Yeah, I really like this chapter, even though it started out kind of boring. Like, I think it's got a really good point, and it's kind of a really cool thing. Like, we always talk about paying it forward or doing good to others, but he's got a point that it would be way more meaningful if you're like righting past wrongs while you're trying to do good.
So that's all for this one, and we hope that you guys got something out of it. And come back next Wednesday for number 20, and the title is Practice Your Penmanship.
That seems kind of weird. Don't know what kind of lesson we're going to learn from that one.
Who knows?
Either way, we hope that you guys join us for it. And if you like these videos, like and subscribe and leave us a comment and let us know what you like about them, or give us some other video ideas about any kind of a faith or Christian topic, and we will consider doing a video on it. In the meantime, we hope you guys have a good day. Don't forget to shine, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.